If you are over the age of 30 and you are on a weight loss journey or you are trying to change your body composition and somebody told you that you need to eat more protein, but you don't for any different reason, maybe you just don't understand why you need to prioritize protein. And that's completely understandable because there is so much information all over the place on social media, here on YouTube, that are giving you different methods to, like, quote unquote expedite your weight loss or try a new technique in order to be more effective. But a lot of that is BS. But eating protein is probably the one piece of information to listen to that can actually have a big impact on your weight loss journey. And I want to tell you why protein is so important. Now, I'm not a big protein lover myself. I don't eat meat, so I prioritize fish or plant-based options. So it's not as easy for me to eat a lot of protein, but I do it because I know it's a critical part of me hitting my goals and looking the way I look. So I'm going to tell you why it's so important to prioritize protein. And I'm going to start with one that I think is probably the most important or most compelling reason. And that is due to something we call the thermic effect of food. And this is a process that our body takes in order to process and digest food that we eat. And that takes a certain amount of energy to achieve. So our body is burning energy, aka calories, while it's digesting food. Our body takes about 20 to 30% of those total protein calories to digest it because protein is harder to digest. And that's a lot, especially as you compare it to 2% of overall calories for digesting fat and 8% of overall calories for digesting carbs. So it's a significant difference in how much energy our body uses to burn protein. And so that is the number one, because you're burning more calories while you digest it. The second reason to prioritize protein is why I actually dedicated this video to people that are age 30 and older. And that's because of something called sarcopenia, which is age-related muscle loss that we all experience starting about age 30 and ongoing through the rest of our lives. We lose about 3 to 8% of muscle mass for every decade that we age. And it might not seem like a lot, but think about somebody who's older, 60s, 70s, that is really frail, that's fragile, that lacks ability to do a lot of things on their own. And there's a lot of reasons for that, but not having enough muscle mass when we age certainly plays a huge role in hindering our ability to do these things, to be active, to remain active, to live self-sufficiently for as long as we can. And the rate of which this happens differs for everybody based on a number of different factors like age, sex, genetics, etc. But what we can do is eat a significant amount of protein in order to help our chances of hanging onto that muscle. It's also much harder for our bodies to digest protein as we get older. So for every serving of protein that we eat, the absorption rate that our body can handle as we age is less and less. So it's a good idea to consume adequate protein in order to counteract that. And then another thing as it relates to muscle loss is many of us who are on a weight loss journey, or those of us who maybe take a GLP-1, like Ozempic, for example, tend to lose a lot of muscle as we're losing body fat. And a good way to explain this is if we are eating in a calorie deficit, meaning we are burning more calories during the day through activity than we're actually eating, our body is working hard to operate, to function at the same rate that it always has, or at the same rate that it needs to in order for you to survive and feel good and feel healthy. So as it looks to keep functioning at its highest level, it looks at different things that it can do, different functions within itself that could help make it survive a little bit more efficiently. And one of the top things that it looks at is muscle, because muscle is very dense. It is, think of it like a real estate. It's very expensive real estate in the body. So the body is saying, okay, we need to offload some muscle. So we're carrying less weight, that we need less energy so we can survive. So when we think about being on a GLP-1 and eating a lot less calories or just dieting, our bodies are going to want to lose muscle and water as quickly as possible in order to allow itself to survive. So we want to make sure that for those reasons, protein is prioritized. I know if you're on a GLP-1, hunger decreases significantly. So it is my recommendation that before anything, you are prioritizing protein as the #1 macro in your meals so that you can make sure you hold on to as much muscle as you can. Because once you lose muscle, especially after a certain age, it is so incredibly hard to get back. The #3 reason to prioritize protein is because it helps with your satiety. It helps you feel full. And as we're dieting, we're very hungry. We're often depleted. And we think about food, we want food, we think about snacking. But if you eat protein, it's gonna fill you up for longer and it's gonna make you stay full for longer, hopefully thinking about food or anticipating your next meal a lot less often. So that allows you to consume less calories overall. Think about if you had a big bowl of pasta or like a big plate of steak. Eating that bowl of pasta, and I know because I've done it, is so easy to consume. You can consume it in like no time and not feel that full. But if you eat a big steak, you're gonna feel so full, it might even be challenging to get through eating that piece of steak. So think about that as you're choosing and prioritizing the way that your plate looks for your next meal. Fill up a lot more on protein than on fats and carbs. Okay, and the last reason I'm going to tell you to prioritize protein is if you are doing any type of physical activity, whether that just be walking or doing a Peloton or going to the gym and lifting weights, you need protein for muscle growth, muscle recovery, and to also help you have a lean body. Without protein, you're not going to build that much muscle mass. Without muscle mass, you're likely not going to have as lean of a body as maybe you would like. And so protein is critical for all of that. If you want to build muscle, if you want to look like you have some muscle, if you want to look like you work out, protein is going to be the macronutrient that's going to help you achieve that look. And then on the flip side of that, what happens if you don't eat enough protein? Well, let's just go in reverse of what we just said. #1, you're going to experience muscle loss and weakness. #2, you're going to be more hungry. You're going to be less satisfied, less full. #3, you'll have poor recovery after workouts or strenuous activity. #4, you just may have reduced strength or performance. And if you're feeling sluggish, if you're feeling not as strong, this could be a reason why. So look at how many grams of protein that you're getting a day. And I know not everybody tracks in an app, and that's okay too, but you can kind of ballpark it, a simple Google search to see how much protein is in a 5-ounce piece of chicken or steak or eggs or yogurt or cottage cheese, whatever it is that you're eating. You can easily search that, make a note of it for each meal, and then you can have your finger on the pulse as to, are you getting enough? Are you sort of somewhere in the middle? Are you not getting enough at all? And I did this activity for my husband because I track all my protein. It's very important for me. He does not, and he doesn't work out that often. He's 6'6" and just turned 50. And he eats about 50 grams of protein a day because he does not prioritize it. And I see him losing muscle more so now than ever because he doesn't work out that much. He doesn't care about his protein. And ultimately, despite being 6'6" and a big guy, he risks being old and frail. And I try to convince him as much as I can, like I'm trying to tell you, but to some it resonates more than others. Okay, let's talk about tips for how to get more protein. The first tip I have is to try to get 30 grams of protein with each meal. Now, if you're somebody who isn't prioritizing protein, who isn't tracking protein, and then eating 30 grams per meal or trying to do that, it may seem like a lot. As a society and also other countries that are more westernized, our diets are not based around protein. We tend to like carbs and fats and processed foods. And so when we really focus on protein, it seems like it's a lot. #2 is choose from high quality protein sources. I would opt for single ingredient foods like eggs or chicken breast or lean steak, lean turkey, lean pork, cottage cheese, Greek yogurts. There are a number of different high protein rices, pastas, breads, tortillas, and look for things like Ezekiel bread that has, I think, about 4 grams of protein per slice. So all of this adds up, helping you make it much easier to get this consumption. And for those of you who don't eat breakfast, this is a really important component because otherwise it's really hard to get as much protein as you need. But if you're having a high protein breakfast, that's really gonna set you up for success to be full until your next meal. And if you're working somewhere like at the office or even just like your home office where there's food and snacks readily available, it's a lot more effective for your weight loss goals to be full and not want a snack than the opposite. So that's why I recommend having a high protein breakfast and choosing high quality protein options. And my last tip is when you're snacking, choose a snack that is high protein. And I know like this is not synonymous with like a good snack, but you can easily sort of dessert up a high protein option like some cottage cheese or Greek yogurt with some chocolate chips or some fruit or a little bit of granola and maybe some agave syrup. There are many ways to make high protein options taste good and helping you meet your goals and be satisfied. So think about creative options there with the foods that you like and already eat. So if you found this valuable, please hit the like button and subscribe for more videos like this. If you're not sure where to start on your weight loss journey or how to understand how to get a grasp on your diet and nutrition and you just want a simple plan, I've created a course called Master Your Macros, and it is a foundational course teaching you everything about how many calories you specifically should be eating each day to be in a deficit or a maintenance phase or even in a surplus if your goal is to gain weight, and also teach you how to break up those calories in a specific macro distribution so that you can eat a well-balanced meal free of restriction and help you meet your goals much more efficiently. And the purpose of the course is to teach you holistically what macros do, how they play a role in your weight loss efforts, and how to create a macros-based plan that works for you and your goals. I have a discount link below for all my YouTube subscribers, so check it out if you are interested, and I will talk to you next time.